It's Tuesday, the 9th of July, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, the composition of the top 20 stocks on the ASX is changing fast, with stalwarts like Telstra and Woolies and Transurban slipping, while others like industrial property giant Goodman Group become top 10 companies.
The top 20 stocks on the ASX, let's call them mega caps, comprise 56% of the market capitalisation of the stock exchange in Australia. By reputation, the mega caps are solid, often pay dividends. You're not really supposed to lose your capital on them. In contrast, the mid caps are supposed to provide plenty of growth opportunities, while the small caps are more speculative. But over the past 12 months, it hasn't played out that way, with some big moves in the top 20 stocks. While the ASX 200 is up around 8% over the past year, Woodside is down 16%. It's no longer a top 10 stock. Telstra, with its 1.3 million shareholders, has also slipped out of the top 10. It's now the 13th largest company on the bourse, having lost 14% of its value over the past year. Woolies and Transurban are the other big losers within the top 20, while Coles, Brambles and ResMed have all fallen off the list of mega caps. Shareholders in all those companies I've just mentioned have lost lots of capital over the past 12 months.
What about the other side, Sean, the best performers? Where have shareholders actually made money?
A year ago, Goodman Group wasn't a top 20 stock. Its share price has appreciated nearly 80% over the past year. It's now the country's 10th largest company. We've talked plenty about the banks. They remain dominant. We have spoken less about Wesfarmers, which of course owns Bunnings and Officeworks. Also, it's got a pharmacy business, a lithium project, a chemicals and fertilisers business, among other things. It employs 120,000 people and has more than 500,000 shareholders. The group began life as a Western Australian farmers cooperative more than 100 years ago, wasn't a top 20 stock a few years ago, is now up 40% over the past year. Other newbies to the top 20 this year are WiseTech Global, Aristocrat Leisure and REA Group.
Okay, moving on to story number 2 now. The Federal Coalition has pulled ahead of Labor for the first time in New South Wales and increased its lead in Queensland, though it still lags in Victoria, according to a state-by-state news poll.
In South Australia, the contest has tightened, but the Coalition lost significant ground in Western Australia, which was key to the Labor's 2022 election victory. An exclusive state-by-state news poll demographic analysis shows the political contest tightening over the past 3 months, though Labor's still ahead on a two-party preferred vote, 51 to 49. For the first time, the Coalition enjoys majority support among male voters. Female voters still marginally favour Labor. The results confirm a continuation of a trend that, if repeated at an election, would cost Labor its parliamentary majority and force it into a minority government with independents. Still a ways to go though, Michael.
Indeed. Story 3, the threshold for involuntary bankruptcy is going to rise to $20,000, and bankrupts will have their official records cleared after 7 years under an overhaul of personal insolvency laws.
The Albanese government will also extend the time frame for responding to a bankruptcy notice from 21 days to 28 days. It'll scrap debt agreements under the legislation. The amendments should ensure a fairer outcome for debtors in the personal insolvency system and reduce the stigma associated with entering into bankruptcy, according to Attorney General Mark Dreyfus, who also launched something known as the minimum asset procedure. It's like a mini bankruptcy regime. It'll allow debtors who meet certain criteria to start afresh sooner. Under the proposal, people who owe less than $50,000 and have minimal assets to repay debts would be able to apply to participate in the procedure. It's less restrictive than bankruptcy and lasts for just 1 year.
Story number 4, turning overseas now, Sean. Left-wing parties in France have topped the second round of polling in the parliamentary election in a bit of a shock, really, that pushes Marine Le Pen's right-wing populist National Rally into third place.
French President Emmanuel Macron's coalition of centrist parties did better than expected, and it shows that his high-risk strategy of calling a snap election to nip the growth of National Rally has worked. But it hasn't really meant success for his own coalition, with the left-wing New Popular Front set to win around 180 seats in the National Assembly. The New Popular Front includes Socialists, Communists, Greens and the hard left France Unbowed. Macron's coalition will end up with around 159 seats, National Rally 143. It means France will have a hung parliament split between 3 blocks. A coalition of 2 of the 3 is unlikely, analysts said, and no new election can be called for 12 months, so the weekend vote could result in a very hamstrung parliament.
Indeed. Last one, story number 5. Paramount's board is set to agree to merge with independent studio Skydance, a deal that would shift control of the historic Hollywood group from Shari Redstone's family to billionaire David Ellison.
The deal set to be signed any time, according to media reports. It means Skydance will own CBS, MTV, the Paramount Movie Studio, and indeed Network 10 here in Australia. Any deal comes just weeks after Redstone blocked a deal with Skydance, which is backed by some private equity groups as well. She only owns 10% of the stock, but she has 80% of the voting rights. It really hasn't been an easy road during a chaotic, highly public bidding process involving several rival bids. Paramount's chief executive and 4 board members left the company, disagreeing with Ms. Redstone. Assuming the deal's done, it would close an 88-year chapter of her family's involvement in the entertainment business. David Ellison, just out of interest, is the son of Oracle founder Larry Ellison. So there you go.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 9th of July, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts, or at fearandgreed.com.au, which is also where you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter. Comes out every Wednesday, so jump on that one today. Get in ahead of time. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.